And we got AJ versus Triple D.
And you had Frank Warren on one side and Eddie Hearn on the other side, and the two fighters. I'm enjoying Daniel Dubois actually coming out of himself. But then Anthony Joshua, not like he's reinvented himself, but I think Anthony Joshua's kind of found himself again.
Was it a shock to you when Usyk beat Tyson Fury earlier this year?
No, Usyk is very good. It wasn't a shock, but I still picked Tyson Fury to win. But those 3 fights that Tyson Fury had with Deontay Wilder had to have had some effect on you.
Joyce, he fought sort of Zhang and
he got derailed. He's got a granite chin. Don't guys throwing at you. When it takes its toll, that's when you start getting knocked out.
Eddie's comments, he said he'd like to make that fight, but if Derick fancies it.
Spencer Fearon, he's won Fight of the Year. Mike Tyson, he offered you out. Would you be like, you've got a chance?
Yo, I'm going to tell you a story, right? I'm looking at Mike Tyson. I was looking and I'm saying, like, I fancy me chance. I'm in front of Mike Tyson. I'm thinking, right, it's going to go off. I goes, mate, I was just here with your wife. Keep your fucking mouth shut, okay?
What chances does Jake Paul have against Mike Tyson?
He's got a hell of a chance simply because Mike Tyson's old. I don't really rate Jake Paul, but it's whether Mike can clap him, and I think Mike could clap him.
And there's a lot of YouTubers out there and Misfit. Is it good for boxing?
It's not demeaning. I tell you when it was demeaning. When Jake Paul was calling out Canelo. KSI and Logan Paul that brought this whole thing to the forefront, that made it so.
Welcome back to Take a Seat. This is the #1 channel for mindset and motivation. Our guests keep getting bigger. So before we get into this one, make sure you smash the subscribe button. And don't forget to leave us a comment today on what you thought of the episode. Today, we've got an ex-boxer. He's won Fight of the Year. He's also the first person of colour to become the youngest promoter in 2009. I want to know what makes this guy tick. So please welcome the knowledge, Spencer Fearon.
How you doing, Sean?
Yeah, thank you for coming on, bro.
Nah, seriously, you know what? I'm a person who deals with energies. Your energy is real. And the only reason why I can tell you, like, I know real energies, because sometimes my energies can be really, really fake. So I'm saying to you, like, you got good energy. So when I heard that, you said, oh yeah, if you like to come in and I think, yeah, I don't know. But you know what I mean? I'm here. I've travelled all the way down, and it's like, it is a true, true blessing. You know what I mean? To be here.
Well, I'm not sure if I can mention this or not, but you know, I had a little bit of trouble booking you in first of all because I had a personal issue, and the first thing you said to me is, "Let me pray for you." You're like, I didn't really know you. I'm somebody who's pitching to you to come on, and you was like, "Let me pray for you. Everything's gonna be fine," which it was actually.
You know what? People don't realize this part of like the importance of prayer, right? And nobody can't tell me that prayer don't work, right? It's simply because water frequency in water vibrations, you can take a highly focused camera and take pictures of water when negative things are being said to it, when positive things are being said to it. So you being positive, you giving out positive energies to other people that are going through stuff, even though everybody goes through stuff. I'm not perfect. I'm anything but perfect. But what I do know is you got to give thanks to a higher being. I don't care what you want to call it. I mean, I know what I call it. I know what it is to me. But you have to give to a higher being. And like, when we truly realize the real emphasis of why we were created is actually to spread love. And if you can do that, then you're going to be all right. And it's like, just spread love. And even more so, like, when you can hurt people, and I've hurt certain people, close people, good people to me. I've hurt certain people. So because I know that I've hurt certain people and I know the reaction that I've got for the hurt, then sometimes you got to say, well, you got to turn that around and you got to show love. So on most of the things, then I do my best to try and show love. And sometimes I'm human, I'm fallible, I'm open to mistakes. But when you hear that somebody's going through things, it's really important to show that person love. Because you know what? I didn't know you. I don't know what you're going through. But you divulged that to me, what you was going through. And I'm saying, look, bro, I'll pray for you, bro. You know what I mean?
Respect to you, man. Where do you think that evil energy comes from? Where do you think, like, you know, hate comes from? Do you believe in, like, Satan? Do you believe in the devil?
Do I believe in the devil? No, I don't believe in the devil. I know the devil. Right? There's a difference. How do you believe in something? No, I don't believe in nothing. Do you know what I mean? To believe something is to believe is right. You haven't. Where's your factual evidence? You believe in something. I'm dealing with facts. I believe in a. I know, not believe. I know there's a devil. Right? But then I also know like there's got to be a counterbalance to what that devil is. So you know what I mean, the goodness or the evil is whatever one that you pay attention to, is whatever one that you keep on constantly thinking about. Because what you think about, you bring about. I'm a big believer in that. I'm a not big believer. I'm a big knower of that. Whatever you think about, you bring about. You know what I mean? So I do know of a devil, right? And sometimes I can be a devil. To other people, I could be the devil to certain people, right? To other people, I could be an angel, like that, right? So the perception that is given out to people, some could have a good perception of you, some could have a bad perception about you. Some would say like you're the greatest thing since sliced bread. Some would say you're the most horriblest person since Hitler. It's whatever energy that you give, and that's what you will attract. And the things that you don't give the energy to, that's you will repel it. And I know this. I'm living testimony of this. So because I've done that right throughout my life, knowing that I can attract and repel, even when things are at its worst, I'm saying everything's great.
Do you believe in outer things like jinns or ghosts or anything like that?
Of course. Well, you see, here it is this. It's like when you are spiritually aligned, yeah, you know that there are such things as jinns and as ghosts, right? And science is improving constantly every day to prove that these things actually exist. Do you know what I mean? So I do believe in know of jinns and ghosts. And people say, well, how can you prove it? There's no such thing as ghosts. I'm saying maybe for you there's no such thing as ghosts, right? So you got to think like, if you put these things out to energy, right? And as we know, the science teaches us that energy cannot be destroyed, neither created, right? So us as human beings, we're energy. When you die, where does that energy go to? Because the energy can't be destroyed or created. So where does it go to? You know what I mean? So it goes back to its source. The source is the universe, right? But then I believe like there is a source outside of the universe or outside of time and space and matter that is the Most High that controls all of these things. And people don't have to agree with me, but that's what I feel, not even believe. That's what I know. And in time, with the correlation with science and biology, we get to see these things all the time.
Wow, that was quite
That's
deep.
deep. I know. I you just thought I was going to come here and just talk about boxing and how great someone's left hook was, but no, it's like, bro, everything pertains to energy, right?
Yeah.
And the more gratitude, there is an art in gratitude. This is why I know that your show or anything that you do, Sean, I'm not saying it because I'm here, is going to be successful. Do you know why? Because you come from that of a grateful standpoint. You know what I mean? You show appreciation. Oh, how much you talking to Spencer Fearon? How much you talking to I'm talking to this guy, right? And this is how you're getting all these guys on your show, right? Reason being, because people can feel that, right, this guy's actually grateful. You know what I mean? It's not like
Always.
I'm doing you a favor to come on my show and blah, blah. And by the way, I'm going to pay you. And no. It's when you can feel that energy of gratitude, because the more gratitude that you express is the more abundance that you'll experience. So when you do that, you are walking abundant. Why are you walking abundant? Because you're grateful. You know what I mean?
Respect, bro. Respect. Right. Well, this show is all about my guest anyway. So I'm grateful to have you in the studios, and I'm grateful of your opinions as well, because one of my favorite sports is boxing. I love boxing. I love it because it's the speed, balance, endurance. It teaches you so much about yourself, and if you don't move in that ring, you're gonna get your head taken off. Do you know what I mean? And I think sometimes that relates a lot to life. You know what I mean? You got to keep moving, and you know certain people have no respect or walk around with negative energy, but boxing teaches you a lot of discipline. And so in this sport, I want to ask you, because you're really qualified to speak on all of these topics. You absolutely, because you've had some great fights. I've seen a few of your fights as well, between 1997, etc. But first of all, I want to ask your opinion. We've got a massive fight coming on. There's a clash of two heavyweights coming up on September the 21st, and we got AJ versus Triple D. They've had a little altercation in the sort of Gloves Are Off. Was it Gloves Are Off? That little show?
It was Adi Oladipo, sorry, who was sat in the middle, and you had Frank Warren on one side and
Yes.
Eddie Hearn on the other side, and the two fighters. And I'm enjoying Daniel Dubois actually coming out of himself, because you could see like he's a little bit reclusive. You could see he's a little bit to himself, a little bit timid, and you know what I mean, he's that way inclined. But I'm enjoying the fact that he's actually coming out of himself, and that's nice to see. You know, that he is coming out of himself. But then Anthony Joshua not like he's reinvented himself, but I think Anthony Joshua's kind of found himself again. He's found himself to say, like, you know what, I'm not taking on nonsense from anybody. And so it's gonna be for a good fight as long as it lasts.
How important is the build up to the fight?
It's the most important thing, because it's like this weekend, right? We've got Derick Chisora versus Joyce, right? And I'm telling anybody, make sure you get this on the short, Sean, right? Right? Because this is like, take a seat, and I'm with my guy Sean Land. Right? I'm letting you know this now. This weekend is going to be a barn burner. It's going to be a barn burner because you've got Joyce and Derick Chisora, and people looking at this fight like this fight ain't meaning nothing on paper, because they're seeing one guy who's well past peak and another guy who's got knocked out twice by Zhang. So you're thinking, right, I'm telling you now, two old war horses make for a good fight. Forget about any media savvy or how boring they were on their head-to-head or anything else like this. I'm telling you this now. Reason being, because that's all that these men know to do. And Derick Chisora doesn't bottle it from anyone. And Joyce, even though sometimes he fights on the back foot, he always he fights aggressively. And he throws a lot of punches. It's going to be a very, very entertaining fight. And I'm so looking forward to it. So I've got to say a massive big up to Queensbury for putting this on, and like Riyadh Season doing great stuff.
Absolutely. Joyce, like at one stage, I thought he was gonna be world champion. The way he was, he just like walked through everything. The guy could take every single punch. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, he fought sort of Zhang, and it was a bit of a shock.
The easiest thing, Sean, is to look at this, right? That water can erode rock, right? And I never like when you hear, oh, well, this guy's so tough. He's got a granite chin. You see, because you're going to keep on taking shots. And I'm telling you, you're getting shots from big guys who are 210 up to 240, 250 in pounds. That's big 19 stone, 20 stone guys flying at you. It's going to take its toll eventually, right? That's what happens. It's going to take its toll eventually on you. And when it takes its toll, that's when you start getting knocked out. I like to hear when guys go, oh, well, this guy's got good chin. That's nice. But you know what? On top of that, he's got a really good defense, and he's got really, really good boxing ability, right? And we saw this, right, with some of the greats who were kind of reliant on the fact that they were so uber gifted that they could do magical things, like Roy Jones Jr. Yeah. Roy Jones Jr. could do magical things, right? Magical things. I remember the night, was it June 9th or, no, sorry, March 9th, when he beat Andy Ruiz to become the WBA heavyweight champion, right? 2003. I was in Miami with myself, David Hay, Gary Logan, and Adam Booth. We were out there because David Hay was going to be fighting them, so we went out there for a training camp out there. And I remember watching that fight in a bar on Ocean Drive, and it was incredible what I witnessed. It was like, wow, this is crazy. But when you're relying on, not saying that Roy Jones done all the fundamentals, he does, but he was supremely gifted. He had fundamentals, but he was a speedster. But when you start slowing up a bit, you can get timed, you can get hit, you can get hurt, right? But for many years, we never saw Roy Jones get hit. So for years and years and years, we never saw Roy Jones get hit. Then all of a sudden, you see him get hit in his fight against Antonio Otava. He gets hit and he gets knocked out,
Boom.
right? So we're looking at that now. We're saying, wow. So when someone's relying on toughness, or I could just keep on walking forward and getting hit, you're getting hit, you're getting hit. Everybody has a gauge inside of them, just like a computer game, right? Like you're playing a computer game, like you're playing Street Fighter. Yeah, I mean, like I don't know who your favorite character on Street Fighter is, right? Right,
Right.
yeah, that's right. I love Blanca because Blanca always reminded me of Derick Chisora, right? Look at it here. Anyway, so when you're watching that, you got a gauge. It's going down, right? But then you got to go into a next round. But your gauge hasn't gone back up. It's still there. It's going to go down. It's going to go down. It's going to go down. So everyone's thinking, wow, you're so tough. You're so tough. Then eventually it's going to go. So I like guys who practice the noble art. I'm a big supporter and lover of the noble art and scientific boxing. The crash bang wob is okay, but I appreciate that. I appreciate that, but I don't. That doesn't. I don't go crazy over that.
Do you think that's what happened with Mike Tyson? We had that peekaboo style who's really good at his head movement and a real big puncher. But, you know, when he started getting a little bit older, his movement was left. So his movement was less. So he got caught more. Or what do you think the downfall of Mike Tyson was?
I know you most probably watched an interview with Evander Holyfield when Evander Holyfield was saying like young Mike Tyson would move his head side to side on certain motion. And then as he got slower, as he changed trainer as well, he was with a guy called Kevin Rooney. Then he left. Him and Kevin Rooney broke up, and then he was working with Aaron Snowland. And when he was working with those guys, it's like the movement kind of stopped. So you could time Mike Tyson. When that goes, it's not like there's a comparison. Like Mike Tyson really had a really good chin. Right? You got to think about it. He had a really, really good chin. But, and using like Tyson as, if we go back to November of 1986, when he beat Trevor Burbick in 2 rounds to become the WBC heavyweight champion of the world. A lot of people can talk about Mike Tyson. Well, Mike Tyson wasn't really that great. Mike Tyson was all that. I want people to realize this. When you were 20 years old, what were you doing? When you were 20 years old, at 20 years old, you can't even urinate straight, right? Right, I just want you to realize this, right? And Mike Tyson at age 20, this is spookily scary, knocked out Trevor Burbick to claim the WBC heavyweight championship of the world. And Trevor Burbick wasn't known. Trevor Burbick has been in with good guys, been in with Larry Holmes, who's an all-time great, most probably one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. Beat Pinkland Thomas, who had one of the best jabs I have seen in heavyweight boxing since the great Sonny Liston, right? And he walked through Trevor Burbick like a hot knife through butter. At 20. Realize that. That's the thing that makes Mike Tyson so great. Forget about everything else that he did. Not only that, but he could intimidate everybody. Everyone's trying to fight him, right? Forget about all of that. But that's what made Mike Tyson great, because at 20, what discipline was instilled in that young man from Customato, right? To say, right, I want this tunnel vision, focus, and discipline. And for that, I give Mike Tyson all the credit in the world. I don't care anything else that he did. I'm saying you became the youngest man ever to win the World Heavyweight Championship. And then you went on to become undisputed champion as well. You beat good men in Tony Tucker. You beat good men in Bone Crusher Smith. You beat good men in Tony TNT Tubbs. You fought good men, right? We're going to say, oh, but they weren't great. No, but they were good men. And technically, they're head and shoulders, a lot of those guys are head and shoulders technically above the heavyweights that we've got today. Even though heavyweight boxing changed now, right? Usyk is a different kind of monster, right? But I'm saying to you, it is what it is. Mike Tyson's an all-time great, man.
He's one of my favorite boxers ever. You know, he's just I want to be like, I'm Mike Tyson, I'm the best ever. Like, he was just so entertaining inside and outside of the ring. And the thing is, he just didn't give a shit. He was just him all the time. He just said what he wanted to.
Well, he didn't originally start off like that.
No.
I mean, if you look at Mike Tyson's story, like when he was up in Catskills, when he was being trained or mentored, right, by the late great Custamato, Mike Tyson wasn't filmed as this bad boy to say what you want. He was very, very respectful. You'd watch all his, because back then, like 86, you'd wake up early in the morning and you get the reruns that we on ITV, and you'd watch Mike Tyson, and I really liked Mike Tyson then. And then I really started to hate Mike Tyson because people were saying like, "Oh, he's better than Muhammad Ali." And I remember I was going livid. I was like, "What, are you crazy?"
Yeah.
Right? And I remember this. I remember, was it February 25th, 1989? He fights Frank Bruno, right? And I remember Des Lynam, who I respect, and I remember Des Lynam saying like, "Oh, a lot of people are comparing him to Joe Frazier, but he's far better than that." And I was like, you know what I mean? I was got off of him then because people was kind of comparing like he could beat Muhammad Ali, and nobody can beat Muhammad Ali. I was like, but yeah, I really went off Mike Tyson. But Mike Tyson at that time there, when he lost those handlers who were around him, like he had a close friend, Steve Lott, who a few years ago he passed away. Steve Lott was around him. Bill Caton was not the nicest person. If you ever read Mike Tyson's book, Undisputed Truth, is a really, really good book. I would say to anybody, go get that book. But when he had those people around him, more so Custamato, he was more grounded. Kevin Rooney, he was more grounded.
Yeah.
But then I understand how Don King wormed his way in with him, and Mike, you're not being real, Mike. You gotta be with the brothers and stuff, and it went pear shaped. But in all honesty, hand on heart, for someone to become world heavyweight champion at age 20, come on. I don't want to hear anything else from anyone.
Spencer, I want to ask you a question. You're an ex-boxer yourself. I felt your strength in your hand just by shaking it, and I'm like, I forgot he's a boxer. He's a fighting man. He's got that energy inside him. But Mike Tyson now is what, 58, 59? You're an ex-boxer, so you knew how hard you used to train, probably still in the gym, keep yourself trim and stuff. How much of that strength... There you go. Don't start stripping now. But how strong is Mike Tyson now as a 50? I mean, if he was there in front of you and he offered you out, would you be like, you've got a chance?
I'm going to tell you a story, right? I was head of sports for a social media company called Disciple Media. So we're going back a few years now. We're going back a decade now. Wow. We're going back a decade. And we got out to Vegas because we was going to sign up Mike Tyson to do this app. So I'm there now, and my mate Brian Judah, who's Zab Judah's little brother,
okay,
he was like, "Yeah, I can sort it out for you, man. Like for you to come meet Mike Tyson, and you can pitch to him." But it wasn't. It's actually his wife Kiki. It was actually lovely, and the only reason why her name sticks out in my head because my daughter's name's Kiki as well, my eldest daughter. So we've gone out there to Vegas. So it's me and my business partner, who's like my mentor, a dear friend of mine, Julian Pitton. We go out to Vegas. We got to Vegas, and we left Vegas Convention Center. And Mike Tyson doing a signing. So we've gone out there, and like one of Mike's friends, Greg, because I'm a historian, Mike's a mad historian as well. But he went up to Mike, he was like, "Oh, Mike, you gotta meet this guy Spence." We met before as well, we met a couple times. Because you gotta meet Spence, he's a mad historian, man. He knows way more shit than you. You know the Americans are, right? It's still Mike Tyson. Yeah. Like, do you really think Mike Tyson really wants to hear like this young kid knows more? I don't know if I know more than Mike Tyson, but I know that I'm more astute now because Mike Tyson will tell you like he's lived that life. You know what I mean? I don't even drink, I don't smoke. I mean, right. So we're there at the convention center and we shook hands and like, right. And this is prior to me just going to meet his wife. I met his wife, had a meeting with his wife, signed off a deal, said, great. So we've come in there now. So it's like, his guy Greg says, "Oh, Spence, you take the mic and like, I want you to host a show. I'm gonna give you a few dollars. You host a show. So host what show? You're gonna host Mike. I remember Coogan Cashy was there from IFL, so he filmed this. I'm gassed because I'm hosting Mike Tyson in Las Vegas Convention Center. That's like, man, there's like thousands of people there. So I'm there and I hosted it, and Mike Tyson had a glove that he was signing. That you sign his glove and like you pay. I think it was like $400 for a signed glove, and he had his own brand on it. So this Mexican man came and he said like he wanted the glove. He wanted the glove. But he had his own glove, but he still paid the $500 or whatever it was. But could you sign his glove? So he's gone to the organizer, and the organizer most probably didn't, because he's a Mexican and he was there with his family. But he was really like, "No, you gotta buy this glove." But I said, "What difference does it make? He's still paying the same money." So I was hosting the show with a really lovely lady, right? Alexa, me and her were hosting the show, and she said, Spence, could you go and just tell the organizer guy, like, it's no problem, the guy just wants his own glove signed. So, and I could see this guy was like this little short, tubby white American guy, but he was getting really animated on this poor Mexican guy. And the Mexican guy was just being humble. "Hey, I just want to sign my glove, please." Like, you know what I mean? I don't want no trouble. Right? So I've gone over there, and I'm not even, how I speak, I'm using a lot of hand gestures. So I'm like, "Well, bro, this, you got the wrong end of the stick. This guy just wants the thing signed, but he wants his own glove signed."
Yeah.
Right? He's still paying the same money. Here's money. Right. So from the corner now, Mike's seeing my hands doing all of this to the promoter who's just booked him. Now, I know he's already got the hump because he may say, you can't talk to this guy when it comes to boxing. He knows too much boxing, right? All I hear is from the back, hey, man. You're like what? He goes, "Hey, you don't talk to him like that. He's the promoter. You keep your fucking mouth shut, okay? You're the fucking DJ. I said, "Brother, I'm not the DJ. Your mate Greg just asked me to host it." Said, "I don't give a shit. This man, I'm like," so I'm looking and like, now you gotta remember, this is I don't know, 2014. I'm looking at Mike Tyson, and I know you've just been on a piss the night before. Yeah, you stunk of weed. I was looking and I'm saying, like, I fancy me chances there, you know? No, seriously. It sounds crazy. Man, that's what I know, because that's when you got it. I fancy my chances. And like, because especially then, he's been on this vegan thing and he's lost weight. I'm looking, I'm saying, I fancy my chance. No, seriously, I fancy my chances. Because at that time, you're in your 50s now. And at that time, I must have been about 30 something. I was like, I really do fancy my chances there. So I'm looking around to see the rest of the crew that's with me to see if they're going to back me when Mike's going off at me, right? I turn around, and I'm looking for like Zab Judah's brother and the rest of his crew. They're all on the other side of the auditorium. So they've left me. I'm in front of Mike Tyson now. I'm thinking, right, it's going to go off. And then he looked, he goes, "Hey, man, hey, what are you here for? What are you here for?" I goes, "Mate, I was just here with your wife earlier. He goes, brother Spence." Whole demeanor has changed. Gave me the biggest hug. "Oh, man." And I was explaining to him, "No, I would never disrespect you or anybody." But the guy didn't understand what this Mexican man was saying. I'm trying to explain to him, it's all love. Oh, man, you. And like, yeah, I showed the picture. But it could have gone curtains for me there.
Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, it could have been curtains. It could have been curtains for me. But yeah, That's my Mike Tyson story. It's very funny because... And since then, we've been really cool mates. I'm really close to his family. Like, his father-in-law, who's a devout Muslim, isn't a mom. His wife, his family. So we spent time with him when we was out in Saudi Arabia, because they've got a gym out there as well. I went to the gym opening as well. The gym's actually being run by Joel Gallagher.
Okay.
So it's like, yeah, I'm really grateful for that. But I've got a Mike Tyson story where it could have gone tits up for me. And I wouldn't have been the knowledge, because it hit me so hard I wouldn't remember anything.
Do you think he's got that crazy power?
Of course it has.
So look, there's a fight coming up between him and Jake Paul. Jake Paul's quite a strong boy as well, and he's in his late 20s. He's got that higher testosterone. He's been more active. What chances does Jake Paul have against Mike Tyson?
He's got a hell of a chance, simply because Mike Tyson's old. We just got to be real. But you know when people say the last thing you lose as a fighter is your punch. When you can hit like Mike Tyson, And he was like, remember he did that exhibition, what was it, 5 years ago or whatever, he did that exhibition with Roy Jones.
Yeah.
Right? And Roy Jones would say, look, Mike real. Yeah, he punch real hard. Mike is a real guy. So I'm looking at him saying, like, don't kind of take this as a joke. Mike can still hit. But I'm looking at that and also that was like 5 years ago, Mike. And you were an old man then. Right? You got into incredible condition, but you're still an old man. I don't know. Simply, this is the truth. I don't know because I don't really rate Jake Paul. I don't, but I have to rate his commitment because he's committed to these things, and he's well been trained by a couple of guys I know. Jay Leon Love, former super middleweight WBC Intercontinental Champion. He trains him, and also Shane Mosley. A free weight world champion. Shane Mosley trains him as well. Works in there, so. He's clever to the fact that I'm going to surround myself with greatness, or I'm going to surround myself with great guys who know what they're doing. So it's not a foregone conclusion because I've got to say, like, Mike, you are an old man, right? That's all I'm saying. Mike, you're an old man. If it was Mike 10 years ago, it's 10 years ago, right? He'd be 48. He'd destroy Jake Paul, right? Destroyed. Seriously hurt him. But at this age now, and because Jake Paul's being continuous, sometimes you got to take away your sentimental emotions and say, like, you know what, realistically, you're still an old man trying to do something, even though it's like gimmick boxing, but it's not gimmicks when you're getting hit. But really and truly, if Mike claps him, he's gone. I don't care what anyone's saying. But it's whether Mike can clap him, and I think Mike could clap him. And should be able to clap him, but I'm also taking into consideration that you are 60 years old.
There's a saying that you don't play boxing.
No,
and
you
there's
don't.
and there's a lot of YouTubers out there and misfits. These influencers are getting into boxing nowadays. You got like Soul Puppy, them sort of boys. Like, what do you think of that whole thing? Do you think it?
You know, there's a slight resemblance between you and Puppy, right? You know that. There's a little better looking version. You know, there's a slight resemblance. Come on. Stop it. Right, no. There is a slight resemblance, bro. I said, yeah. You know what I mean? What about him? You know what?
Is it good for boxing, or is it demeaning? Like, you know?
No, it's not. It's not demeaning. I tell you when it was demeaning. It was demeaning when Jake Paul was calling out Canelo, and I want to fight Canelo, and I beat Canelo, and blah 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 blah, and everything else. But what I realized is through guys like KSI, who I've got to give massive props to, because it was KSI and Logan Paul that brought this whole thing to the forefront, yeah? That made it so big. I rate the fact that they are committed to this thing now because the majority of guys have got professional boxing trainers. You know what I mean? I know Daly Ojaderi, who's a really good up-and-coming coach. I used to manage him years ago. And but he's one of these coaches. I know he's making more money training these guys than he does from professional boxing. Right? Because that's how much money is in this influencer boxing. Because people come out, fans come out. So do I think I don't think it's a bad thing because it's still putting spotlights on what the real thing is. And now with the influx of, because that's not real boxing. Let's call it what it is. It's influencer boxing, right? I don't want to be too demeaning, but it's joke boxing, right? Then you're seeing with the magnificent, and I have to call it as it is, his excellently Turkey Al-Sheikh, right? Yeah. What he's done, he's pumped the cash into the game now, right? So fighters are saying, right, I've really got something to fight for. Like, see, like before I want titles, I want this and that. And we're seeing certain guys who are world champions still living in council flats, right? So you think, and that's no disrespect to anyone living in council flats before anyway. So I came off of a council estate. I'm proud where I've come from, right? So when you're seeing that, now there's money in it. There's a new drive. There's a new hype behind it. There's new people. It's being risen.
Fights are being made.
Yeah, the most important thing is fights are being made. And it's like certain fights that I think about. I swear to God that Turkey Al-Sheikh's bugged my house. And I think that's got something to do with Spencer Brown of Gold Star Promotions, right? I'm just going to be real. Because Spencer Brown was the guy that kind of was the man that linked Tyson Fury to Turkey Al-Sheikh. And then for the back of that, all of this whole thing was made out in Saudi Arabia, because you got to think, their private investment fund that they've got, yeah, they've got something like $500 billion, right, for sport and entertainment. $500 billion,
Big.
right? So when you see that, that can only be a good thing simply because it's bringing eyeballs to the sport. It's not bringing eyeballs to the sport in Saudi Arabia, like in spectators, right? But globally, it's bringing eyeballs. Globally, and look at this, they're doing a Terence Crawford fight next month. They're doing the fights over here as well with the Joshua versus Dubois. That's what you originally asked me for, but we just went off on to I've got on tangents. Don't worry about it. I bring it round. Right?
Well,
so because we're seeing all of those things happen, you got to say massive props, because apart from being a boxing historian, I actually love the intricacies of boxing, right? But I like it at the standpoint where it's being respectful, that we're getting gladiator versus gladiator. So we're going back to the 50s, we're going back to the 40s. You know what I mean? We're going back to the great times of you know what I mean, someone like Ezed Charles, who's one of my favorite fighters. You know what I mean, former light heavyweight, but former heavyweight champion of the world. You know, when we're going back to those times there, we have nothing more to say. Like we're grateful. We're going back to those times of like a Joe Lewis. We're going back to the times of when Ali fought everybody, even when he wasn't champion. Right now, it's happening, and it didn't matter if you took an L. Why? Because we could bring you back. And Turki Al-Sheikh's been true to his word. Look at that. Zhang went out there, and Zhang went out there, lost to Hergovich. But Zhang's still a name. Zhang made himself back, came back, knocked out Joyce twice. Then Zhang gets a big fight with Deontay Wilder.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Deontay Wilder gets a fight against Joseph Parker and gets outpointed. Soundly outpointed by Joseph Parker, but you know, like, he was trying, he's still a name. You know what, we're going to bring you back. And when they do, they brought him back for the 5v5. He gets knocked out by Zhang, right? But this is boxing. You know what I mean? And it's simple analogy. Because A can beat B can beat C, but A can't beat C. This is how it goes. This is boxing. So for those things, I'm amazingly grateful to be around at this time now. And the plethora of money that's being brought into the game now, it's going to help young guys that I affiliate with, or young guys who are trying to come through. And because of that, I mean, I get a lot of speaking engagements to speak on boxing now because of everything that's happening. So I'm grateful, man.
Brilliant. It's brilliant. What do you think's happening to British boxing, though? Like, can we still fill out Wembley Stadium? Like, are we still going to get them nights?
Wait. See, can we still fill up? Just remember, September 21st. If you guys haven't bought your ticket or tried to buy your ticket, because they'd be very difficult to get a hold of your ticket, September 21st, you have the IBF World Heavyweight Championship with Antony Joshua fighting the now champion in Daniel Dubois. That's going to be a great night of boxing, because if you look on the undercard, it's a great night of boxing.
Before we move on to the undercard, tell me, how does this fight play out?
I like Daniel Dubois a lot. You know what I mean? I got a lot of time for Daniel Dubois' trainer, Don Charles. And I'm so happy for Don Charles, for him getting the opportunity to look after his family, right? And these are Don's words, not my words, but Don will tell people, oh, well, Spencer kind of instigated Daniel coming to me. I didn't. I played a part in it. I won't say how big my role was or whatever, but I know, like, when I speak boxing, especially to people of my own community, it carries a lot of weight. So if I say, well, maybe you need to work with this guy here, people are going to listen to me, because it's coming from me, and they know that I fanatically studied this sport. How the fight pans out, in the beginning, I was very critical of Ben Davison. Thinking, like, you know, these little young whippersnappers, blah. You know what I mean? But I see the synergy. I've been in the gym. I've been fortunate enough to be in the gym with Anthony Joshua. And I see the synergy that they got. And not only that, but I have to give credit to the fact that with Anthony Joshua, he's profoundly professional. Seriously. It was an honor for me to be in the gym and to see him train. Right? Just to know, like, you are profoundly professional. And I've been fortunate enough as a young kid, right, going over to Catskills Mountains, watching Lennox Lewis train when he's preparing to fight David Tua. to watch, that was in 2000, to watch Anthony Joshua train, it was like they're very, very meticulous to detail. And because of that, Don Charles is a good trainer, and I'm glad that he's getting the accolades right now. But they're working at a higher octane level, right? But this is boxing; anything can happen. But because they're working at such a high level, and I see many flaws in Daniel Dubois. The major flaw that has been corrected was more of like when people was questioning his heart, because everyone said, "I ain't got no heart, he ain't got no ticker," and I think he's proved that in his last two fights, the Big Baby Miller fight, and also in the Hrgovic fight, he proved that he actually has got ball, right? But maybe those guys didn't hit hard enough to take away his ball, right? And you cannot be being hit flush with heavy right hands from Hrgovic, thinking that you're going to get hit by those same right hands from Antony Joshua, thinking that it's not going to have a telling effect. It's going to have a telling effect. And we saw, I don't care when people say, "Oh, well, he's only at Ngannou. We're looking at, we're getting, he knocked at Ngannou and he that's not a great win." Well, hello, did you not see what a hard fight that Ngannou gave to Tyson Fury? Right? Exactly. So therefore, I got Antony Joshua winning this fight. Right? And I think knocking out Daniel Dubois in about 4 to 5 rounds. That's how I see it. But you know what? If I'm wrong, I'll hold my hands up to say I'm wrong. But I'm saying of what I'm seeing, I know it's about camps. And the camp that Antony Joshua has, in my mind, is more superior to the camp that Don Charles has got, simply because they've got a finer, polished athlete in Antony Joshua, and all they got to do is put in instructions. With Daniel Dubois, they've got to strip back the errors and mistakes inside of him and then try to rebuild on it. And I don't think it's enough time, right? Because I think by the time the fight comes around, they've been working for a year. I don't believe that's enough time. When you get a new trainer, usually it takes about 5 fights. So this is going to be his 4th fight with Don Charles. Maybe it's a fight too early, but I could be wrong. And if I am wrong, I'm wrong. But I just believe that that's why I got Antony Joshua coming out successful.
Don't you think that, like, because the way I sort of look at this is, yes, I feel that Antony Joshua's got a lot of experience. He's been in some massive fights with the Klitschko's and, some really, really big fights, but he's starting to get a little bit older. Now, I know he's not old, but he's older than where Dubois is like this young, hungry lion. He's just got the IBF converted into the main full championship, and it's time to prove himself. He's coming off 2 wins, his confidence is up there, and he wants that fight. Do you not think, do you think that the experience will outbeat that?
Do I think the experience of Antony Joshua will surpass the youth and vigor of? Yes, I do, and I'm going to tell you why. It's going to, my opinion, right? Because people will play this back and say, "Oh, what Spencer said, he's a dickhead, he's all wrong," right? But I'm just trying to say to you, the reason why I believe that the experience, because the thing with experience is that you can't fake experience. You can't buy experience. You have to experience to have it. That's the crazy thing about experience. You have to experience it to have the experience. And with Antony Joshua, just his whole jump off right now, where he is mentally, I know certain things that he's doing off camera, I could tell you, but I ain't gonna tell you on camera. Certain things that he's doing, I just believe that he's in a different mental capacity right now. And the thing is this, Daniel Dubois is very fast. I ain't gonna lie to you. And Daniel Dubois is most probably going to be coming towards Antony Joshua. He's not going to fight on the back foot because he doesn't fight on the back foot. So when he comes forward, that's the worst thing ever. Just ask the former 2-time heavyweight champion of the world, George Foreman. George Foreman said, "You never follow a puncher." And whereas Daniel Dubois can hit, if you look on Daniel Dubois' highlight reels, Show me one concussive knockout that he's scored where he's hit a guy and he's just knocked a guy into oblivion. You don't. He's a heavy-handed guy. But guys who spar with him say that he punches way harder than Andy Joshua. But that's in sparring, right? He bangs. But maybe it's like under the lights and everything else. Maybe something gets taken away from him. But because of that, I see experience is a massive factor in this. And I mean, when I mean a massive factor. I see Don Charles was saying this fight's going to be spiritual. And if I go to anyone and say, well, then tell me what is spirituality? And I bet you everyone was like, they will struggle to tell you what spirituality is. So when I look at the camps and how they've interwoven with each other, I think this fight's a little bit too early for Daniel Dubois. I think Daniel Dubois is the next generation. He's 26 years old. He's the next generation. I think he's this generation, right? That's my. I could be wrong, but I think I see Andy Joshua winning by hellacious knockout.
Wow. What do you think of Carl Frotch getting involved in this? He just started, I don't know if it's called trolling, but he's just got involved and going.
It is called trolling.
Yeah.
Exactly what it is.
So,
It's controlled trolling.
do you think it's an a way just to get into the conversation?
Whatever Carl Frotch is doing, it's working, right? Because Carl Frotch is, he's clever. Can't turn around and say he's not clever. Carl Frotch is clever. You know what? To be real, I think Carl Frotch has watched, in boxing, there's a lot of trolls, right? And I think Carl Frotch has reached the time of his life where he's thinking, I've never really cared what people thought about me. Yeah? But sometimes when people say, I don't really care what people think about me, they actually do care. All right? I'm just going to be real with you. But I think with Carl, he's more of a, I think he's carrying feelings. I know he's carrying feelings. Carl Frotch got inducted into the Hall of Fame recently in America, right? In his speech, he says that he looked at Robert McCracken as a father-like figure, right? Because if you know the story, Carl Frotch passed away and all the rest of it. But he looked at Robert McCracken as a father-like figure. And also, Robert McCracken had a different respect for Carl Frotch, right? Carl Frotch was his first world champion. So he had him with some different respect, some different love and admiration that he had for him. Now, Antony Joshua's come along, right? Not fundamentally been in the gym, like hasn't gone through the course of how many of us have gone through. Like we grew up loving boxing from a really young age, buying the Ring magazine, the boxing news every Friday, watching it, reading that, watching, having the boxer collection on videotapes. There's a boxer collection, it's called a boxer, and you'd buy that every Friday that would come out. You'd buy a new one every 2 weeks that would come out. Antony Joshua ain't done none of that. Antony Joshua just walked into the gymnasium because he saw his cousin Benga doing it, who I have to shout out to Benga, former ABA champion as well. Seeing Benga do it and said, wow, I want to go do that. And he went in and done it. He said, wow, I've got a knack for this. But Antony Joshua is naturally athletic. Antony Joshua could have done anything. Antony Joshua could play football, he'd blow it up. Antony Joshua could play basketball. And I remember they did, this is years ago, must be about a decade ago, when he just won the Olympic gold medal. They had this superstar challenge where they had different athletes from all doing a different kind of multiple different sporting events, and Antony Joshua creamed everybody without even trying, right? So that's the type of person that Antony Joshua is. So when you look at that, Carl Frotch is thinking, well, I'm the person that's done this the real way or the authentic way. Things are changing now, right? You know what I mean? And what was it? Howard Wilson, our former Prime Minister, said, he who rejects change is the architect of decay, for the only human institution that rejects progress is the cemetery. So we have to constantly keep on evolving as we are as human beings. I think that boxing has evolved, right? And I think Carl Frotch was aggrieved on how Robert McCracken was handled. That's all. Because he was working for 1 minute and then Angel Fernandez kind of slipped in, who worked with Joshua for a little bit. And no one can't tell me that, Like when you do these little slip-ins, you slip into these kind of positions. You want to be the number one guy. Nobody's not coming into like, Sean, we're both training a fighter, and you can come in. I'm the key guy. You're telling me you don't want a key guy job? You want a key guy job because the key guy job is a job that pays you the real money. The key guy job is where you get the most adulation, the most pats on the back. It's very rare that you get guys who are comfortable in their own skin. That's why Muhammad Ali was so great. Because Muhammad Ali had Angel Andy as his trainer, right? But then he had other guys around him. Lloyd Wells, he had Bundini Brown. But all of those guys knew, I'm going to play my position. I'm going to play my position because you know what? I'm not Angel Andy, but listen, you can't mention Muhammad Ali's name without mentioning Bundini Brown. Bundini Brown was incremental in Ali's success, right? Even to the persona of a Muhammad Ali, he was incremental in that. You young kids go Google who Bundini Brown was. He's the guy that taught Muhammad Ali how to be hip and street, right? So, but Carl Frotch, I get it, why he feels that way. Because if I sit down and think about it, I'm not talking people's business, but Robert McCracken has earned more money training Antony Joshua than what Carl Frotch earned in his career. And Carl Frotch is a 3-time world champion. Work that one out. Carl Frotch is the one that sold at 80,000 in Wembley versus him and George Groves a decade ago, right? So all of those kind of things is like, you can be riled by it. It's human nature to be riled by these things. But what I didn't like is like, if you DM me and we're going back and forth, that's not public. You know what I mean? That's not public because it's called a direct message.
Yeah.
So if I send a direct, I'm not directly sending it to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
I'm directly sending it to you, Sean. So on those kind of things, I didn't like that. But Carl Frotch is very clever because he knows I can do this kind of thing. It's going to keep me relevant. And I can also play the lines because a lot of people ain't too sure about Antony Joshua anymore. A lot of people are like, ooh, this Antony Joshua, and a lot of people turned on Antony Joshua. A lot of people turned on him when he was at the Black Lives Matter march, right? A lot of people turned on him. You can't say you never because you did, right? And he didn't even say anything wrong, right? So, like I said, on many things, that's interpretation.
What happens at ringside? Carl Frotch is there, and Joshua's looking across to him and saying, "You've been talking about me."
No, nothing is going to happen at all. Do you know why? Because this is why I rate Antony Joshua. Because Antony Joshua has sacrificed himself on the public platform by not being road, not being the street thug, not being, he's being corporate Antony Joshua, and it's paid for him, right? He hasn't Uncle Tom, he hasn't cooned it, but he's played it safe, right? Not being over opinionated, not being, you get what I'm trying to say? He's done that. How can I knock a man for that? Antony Joshua, did say he's worth 200 million? So I can't knock you for that. Not only that, but he's he's making really, really smart investments right now, right? I can't say nothing to him. And I also got props what he's doing. He started off this ACE thing, African Caribbean Exchange. Him, Michael Jarman, and Kane Kawasaki. They started this thing to push unity within the African diaspora. I've got to rate you for that because I used to be like, and you're doing what are you doing, bro? You should be, and like, no. So therefore, if he saw Carl Frotch ringside, Antony Joshua knows, look, Antony Joshua, bro. You know what I mean? I am Antony Joshua, right? And that's the truth. But one thing I do know about Carl Frotch, he's comfortable within his own skin. He likes when people talk shit about him. It doesn't bother him. But we'll see.
So being that we're on the heavyweight scene and we're talking all about that, was it a shock to you when Usyk beat Tyson Fury earlier this year?
Not at all. Because Usyk is very good. It wasn't a shock, but I still picked Tyson Fury to win, right? Simply because Tyson Fury can do genius stuff in that boxing ring. I've witnessed it. I've seen it. He does genius stuff. But if you understand what you're watching, if you can understand what you're watching, then you know that was freaking clever on what Tyson Fury did. But Usyk is a different breed. Totally different breed. Very highly skilled. Like incredibly highly skilled. Knows how to knows how to, and like he's like, you know what Usyk's like? Usyk is like Chinese water torture, you know, like little drops of water. And it just catches up with you till it drives you insane. And that's what he did. You can see from the first round, from his southpaw position, he stood with Tyson Fury, he's throwing left hand straight down to his body, he's throwing a jab to Tyson's body from the first round. And what he was doing, he was deliberately doing that. That's to lower Tyson Fury's guard. And he lowered his guard. He had to wait till round 8 and 9 before he could let off a big shot, and he let off that big overhand left on Tyson Fury that had.
Yeah, it looked like it broke his nose or something. The way it just went and hit him, and Tyson wasn't the same after that.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, he wobbled up, he was hurt. So because of that, Usyk is just another level. You know what I mean? He is. So that I wasn't shocked that Usyk won the fight. What I am shocked about is that he could hurt Tyson Fury in the way that he did, because prior to the fight, me and like Tony Bombabellu, we speak regularly. Tony's my guy. Big shout out to Tony. Lovely, lovely man. Right? And I said, Tony, how do you see this? I'm telling you, Spence, he's gonna do Tyson. He said the guy mentally drains you when you fight him. I remember Tony Bellew put up a very, very gallant performance against him before getting knocked out.
Yeah.
He said the guy makes you fight his fight, and you're always wary in there, and he mentally zaps you. And so said, so done. Come fight time, what happened? You know what I mean? He got to Tyson Fury, and that's Tyson Fury. But then also, then when I'm looking at it, I'm saying, you know what? Those 3 fights that Tyson Fury had with Deontay Wilder had to have had some effect on you, right? Similar to when Muhammad Ali fought Joe Frazier 3 times. Those fights took an effect on you, right? It did. It took an effect on both men. More so Ali, but it took an effect on you. Those 3 fights, the 3rd fight was one of the best fights I've ever seen in the heavyweight division. God's got to be real, right? But the first fight, when Tyson Fury gets knocked down, he's down on the ground, he just rises up like he's Lazarus. Like, you're thinking to yourself, like...
He done the Undertaker.
Yeah, he did. You're thinking to yourself, what am I actually watching here?
Yeah.
Right? But I think those fights have taken a toll on Tyson Fury. And Usyk took advantage of the fact that those fights have taken the toll, because he's technically sound and he's a very, very confident man. And he came out victorious.
The way I've sort of also looked at it is Usyk seems like a man of discipline. It looks like he lives that life in and out of the ring. He's always training hard. He's went to the army. He doesn't look like, he's abusing his body, where I feel when Tyson's out of camp, he doesn't sometimes live that lifestyle. What you see in the media.
Listen, people are talking about the recent video. That's what you're talking about, where you see him drunk out of the... When he's drunk on the street, yeah? That's
one of them, but sometimes you do see him out of shape as well. He does balloon up a little bit.
Yeah, but
it's not like...
Tyson Fury, if you look at Tyson Fury has never had a body beautiful. He's never been, oh my goodness gracious, look at Tyson and all right. And remember, it's the next thing that people seem to forget. Like, and I know you love your boxing, so you say Terence Crawford's one of the best fighters in the world, right?
Yeah.
You're like, he's fantastic, right? Top 3, easily, right? Tyson Fury, when he was in his hiatus, right? Or when he's saying the drink and the drugs and like the manic depression and being bipolar and everything else, and he decided to make a comeback. When Tyson Fury decided to make his comeback, he lost Terence Crawford in body weight. Let that sink in. He lost Terence Crawford in body weight to come back and fight. And then he fought 2 men that you wouldn't even hire for sparring. And then he fights Deontay Wilder, and he beat Deontay Wilder, but they called it a draw. All the credit in the world should be given to Tyson Fury. I think what people need to recognize, right, and forget about the amount of money that Tyson's got and all the rest of it. I think things are about championing life, right? And if Tyson Fury just to stop for a second and just say, you know what? I came back from when I was on the brink. And I became world heavyweight champion and lineal heavyweight champion, right? Then you got to give yourself a pat on the back and say, don't be so hard on yourself. So when you say you seem out of shape or you seem drunk, I don't smoke, I don't drink. And that's not only because of religious purposes, but I just don't, right? And Tyson Fury is allowed, I would say, to let his hair down. What little he has left, right? I would say that Tyson Fury, we shouldn't be looking at Tyson, oh my goodness gracious, he was out and he was drunk and blah, blah. I'm just looking at that and I'm saying, that is European culture. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm not, that's European culture. So
But
what?
as a fan, though, like Tyson Fury has been my favorite. I used to watch him on Channel 5, you know, when he back in the days. Yeah, them times, like, you know, when I'm seeing, I'm like, Dad, I know we like this fight and that fighter, but this guy's going to be champion. And Dad's like, oh, he's a bit out of shape. I'm like, it's not about muscles with boxing. You know what I mean? It's not about being body fit. This guy can move. He's like a lightweight the way he's going on, you know. So that's the time I've been following him, and I've always been a favorite. And it's like, I just wanted, as a fan, to see him undisputed because I feel that he deserved that with all the fights he's been in, the way he fights, southpaw, orthodox, the way his whole mentality is. When he bloomed up and he came back, I was like, this guy's going to do it. I know he's going to do it. He's got that mental ability. I love he's a family man, fighting man. His dad's next to him. I just love that whole aura about it. It's like he's a natural boxer. He hasn't been, you know, athletically sort of programmed like a robot to say you're going to be a fighter now, or you could have been any one of these sports. And that's what I love. But it's like right at that last hurdle, I'm just like, why did he not use his size and power?
Yeah, it's so much easier for us to be on the outside and say, well, why didn't you do this? And why didn't you do that? And we're not the ones in there, right? And I'm telling you that Usyk technically and tactically maneuvers you into a position where he can hit you and just do a little slight movement to get his head out of the way, right? And that's what he does. And he also lulls you into a full sense of security. And he did that with Tyson Fury. Because when Tyson Fury was all mucking around, and I think it was like round 4, round 5, where Tyson stuck it on him. And I thought, oh my, this ain't going to a couple more rounds.
Yeah, that's
right? And he sucked it up.
Yeah.
Remember, Tyson Fury's a big unit.
Massive.
He's a big unit. He sucked it up and he came back. So it's not like, oh, this guy deserves to be undisputed. If a man he's a massive, what was he? He was British champ, was he European champion as well? He's British Commonwealth champion. He was even like, I think he was Southern Area and English champion. And he went on to become WBC and lineal heavyweight champion. Now, when you say this man deserves to be undisputed champion, I hear what you're saying. But when I look at great heavyweights of the past, one of the greatest heavyweights of all time who's got to be in everybody's top 10, not anybody, but everybody's top 10 is Larry Holmes. Larry Holmes was never undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. Do you realize that? The great Larry Holmes was never undisputed champion of the world. So when you look at things like that, I'm saying, well, even if you don't become undisputed champion of the world, Mr. Tyson, Luke Fury, you're in good company.
What happens in December when it's round 2?
I want Tyson Fury to win. I do. Right? I want him to win. Whether he does, that's another story. Right? Because I believe, and when I remember it's like Spencer Brown, he's Tyson's manager, I know really well. And he was saying like, I was watching interviews, he was saying like, we've left no stone unturned, even down to in the swimming pool and the temperature of the water and everything. We've done everything we can for this. They did everything they can for this and they came out second best. Right? So it makes you think like, what can you do more this time to beat Usyk? And Usyk's very good at rematches. That's how Anthony Joshua.
He's a good reader.
Yeah, right. But in saying that, I believe if Tyson Fury did slight adjustments, he could win this fight. He ain't gonna win the fight excitingly. He's gonna win the fight technically boring. But I think Tyson Fury could win the fight. You know what I mean? I'm gonna keep on saying this until this gets to his camp. Make sure that
What?
you know what I mean. Take a seat. I'm gonna this segment here. I'm gonna send it to Spencer Brown and Woody, who also works in for Gold Star. I'm saying it because I really do believe that Tyson Fury could win the fight, but it would be boring.
Do you think he needs to keep him on the outside and use his reach?
It would have to do that. But the thing about it is this: what Tyson Fury did so brilliantly in the third Deontay Wilder fight is when he feints, he double jabs, right? And I think he got taken away to think, right, I'm the bigger man. I'm just going to show you what time of day it is. But he was with a other guy that could suck that up, and he did suck it up. But you know what? Because I think it'd be sacrilege if we don't get Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua.
Yeah, this was my next question. It's like, look, they're the two biggest names in British boxing, you know, Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. Who wins that fight?
Right now, Anthony Joshua. Right now, Anthony Joshua.
Is it because Tyson's coming off a loss?
Yeah, and not only that, but I really do enjoy this Anthony Joshua that I'm seeing right now, with who he's linked with Ben Davison. The irony is that Ben Davison used to train Tyson Fury. But I'm enjoying seeing this guy here. I'm really, this Anthony Joshua here, I like this Anthony Joshua. I really do like him.
Okay, well, I hope we do get to see that fight, you know? Look, you've been absolutely amazing in terms of, you know, your analytics, in terms of the heavyweight boxing division. You're, you know, a renowned historian in the game. You've got bags of knowledge. I want to go back in time to when you was actually boxing, you know? Seen a few of your fights, and one of the most exciting fights I saw of yours when you was fighting David Walker. God, that was a fight. Talk to me about that fight, because for those of people that don't know, there was like three knockdowns, and both of you got sort of knocked down. But talk to me about that fight. Talk to me about that night.
You know what? I say this a lot to people, and I'm saying everything is about championing life. You can put so much emphasis in, I'm going to be champ. I've got to be, like, now I can be really open and honest about it. I know that I massively underachieved as a boxer, but that was majorly because I didn't have that real fire inside my belly, because I've been very fortunate in life to have a good network of people like Tundi Ajayi always says on the fight. I got a crazy black book, and it's even more crazy now. I got you in there as well now, right? But I'm saying, like, I got a crazy black book where I know everybody. I was always that guy as a young kid that, if you want something, come to Spencer, no matter what it was. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know what I mean? I want to go on holiday. Talk to Spencer. He's got a link to get cheap holidays. You know what I mean? I want a new car. Talk to Spencer. I want a video recorder. Talk to anything, caster, anything. I was always that kid. And with that comes price tag you earn. So you're wheeling and dealing and all the rest of it. You know what I mean? I think now when I look back now as I'm getting older, I wish that I had better infrastructure. I'm glad that I'm talking to you because you're a property guy. We can sort out something off the camera,
Maybe.
right? yeah, right. So when you're that way inclined, the real oomph or desire weren't really there, because I could do amazing things in the gym. I mean, amazing things. I'm not saying it to blow, but go speak to the old pros that you spar. Go speak to Rinky Wright. Go speak to Howard Eastman. Go speak to, there's loads of guys. Richard Williams was a fantastic player. Like, but I realize now that I was actually a gym fighter, right?
What does that mean?
Meaning that I could perform in the gym, but I would never really perform in the spotlight. Certain times I was performing in the spotlight, certain times I wouldn't perform in the spotlight.
Why is that? What's the difference?
I'll tell you it's the occasion would play heavily on it. And like, I remember, like, before certain fights, I'd break down in tears. I remember, like, my best friend Edmund Clotty, everyone calls him Country. I remember I was up. It was like my first title fight was against a guy called Gary Logan, who's like one of my best mates, really mad fighter right there. Against a guy called Gary Logan, right, for the Southern Area title, middleweight Southern Area title. And I'm in the, like, I would listen to a certain gospel song in my house to get me hyped. Right, by the Winans or something, but it would get me hyped. Like, yeah, we're gonna go do this. And I remember being in my bedroom. This is the song Shadow Boxing, and I played it, and I started crying. I was crying uncontrollably. I was just crying and crying and crying and crying and crying. And my mum comes up and she said, "What's the matter with you? You're gonna be good." And then she phones my mate country, and he comes over and he, come on, man, what's the matter? Come on, we're gonna do this, It's you, you're the spirit. That's what everyone used to call me then. You're the spirit. You're gonna do. And I was just crying uncontrollably. So I realized, like, with boxing, sometimes you gotta be detached from the dangers of the sport. Yeah. And I don't think I was really detached from the dangers of boxing. I'm not just talking about the physical danger. I'm talking about the mental danger. I wasn't detached from it. I was fully aware of the dangers. And it was also like, with anything that you're going after in life, if you're going after it, but you're going after it half-hearted, because I was that guy, I always should get girls, right? It's not, no. I'm saying I always should get the prettiest girls I would get. I mean, I always had flash cars. I always had those things. And it wasn't through the attributes of boxing, right? People thought it was from the attributes of boxing, but it actually wasn't from the attributes of boxing. And it was like, when you're that face, like, I was a name from secondary school. Everybody knew, oh, Spencer's the guy. So I've always had that. So, and if I look at guys who really made it, they weren't on the ones. They had something to really, really fight for. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, when I fought Dave Walker, I remember that was 5 million people watched that on BBC, right?
It won fight of
the year. Yeah, it was
fight of the year.
Fight of the year. And me and Dave Walker are really good friends. My mom passed away 2 years ago. And let me just say this before anything. Dave Walker came to my mom's funeral, right? And he brought my old boxing club, Lynn AC club captain, Harry Senior. He brought Harry Senior. Harry Senior, he had a really bad stroke, right? And he brought Harry because he's kind of like Harry's unofficial carer, right? And he brings Harry Senior there. Harry's at there, and everybody came to my mom's funeral. I mean, everybody. Seriously, everybody came to my mom's funeral. Former world champions came, current champions. It was mad. I mean, ex-footballers who were big stars. It was mad, the amount of people that came to my mom's funeral. But Dave Walker came to my mom's funeral. And this guy, when he came to my mom's funeral, he helped tidy up. He was in the kitchen serving food, all those kind of things. It's like, so me and Dave's been friends. I was looking at that and I'm saying, look at this, how crazy things are, Dave. Because like 20 years prior to that, me and you were literally, and I mean literally, trying to kill each other. You know? And, you know, man, Dave had his open battles, of which he's had his own demons that he's battled and all the rest of it. But on those things, it's like, that was such a good fight. I mean, we knocked him down in the first round. At the end of the first round, it was like if I was 20 seconds or 10 seconds earlier, he'd been knocked out. And he gets up and he's gone. And he's trained by Robert McCracken. Imagine what we're talking about. He's trained by Robert McCracken, right? He comes out second round, he tries to stick it on me and I catch him again. I hit him with a right uppercut, left hook, and he goes over from that again. And I think, right, you're done.
You actually jumped on the ropes, didn't you?
Yeah. I thought, you're done now. You're done. And you know, even more so, like, anybody tell you in boxing, like, when you hit someone, you can feel a little shock in your hand, a little shock, like a funny feeling, like a little electric shock in your hand. That's when, and he got up, fair play to it, right? Then we're into round 3, and then end of the round, he knocks me down with an overhand right. Then I get up, right? And then he comes out and he throws out a barrage of punches. I remember the referee Lee Cook stopped the fight. And I was like, what, are you stupid?
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, I'm going to be real with you. Because in my head, I'm saying, all right, I'm on the ropes, he's throwing shots at me. And I'm saying to him, I used to do this in the gym.
I was really impressed by you at that stage because you were slipping and sliding. Exactly. He wasn't hitting you. He wasn't hitting you anything clean.
You know what? I'm not complaining about that because that fight is part of history. And like, if I won that fight, I don't think people were talking about how it is. You know what I mean? Because it was that one of those ones. And when it's on fire, I said, what are you doing? Because in my head, I know like someone's throwing shots at you. And I said, don't worry, I'm going to clear my head and watch. I'm going to come back on you. Because I said, then I'm just going to throw a burst back on you. You're going to know it. Yeah. But the referee don't know that. The referee's thinking, right, you're not that. Dave Walker's a house fighter. You know what I mean? Dave Walker, they're one who they're pumping all the money to. BBC was pushing him as a big star, right? And I'm here upsetting the apple cart. So it is what it is. But you know what? There's no finer person to say that I've lost to. because we're really good friends. Right? I mean, really good friends. And I've got nothing but love and respect for Dave Walker.
Sure, like that's towards him, but what about in terms of
System.
the system? Do you think it's corrupt? Do you
No,
think it was?
I don't think there's a no.
Do you think there's? Do you think there is racism in boxing?
I think there's racism in boxing. I think there's racism in everything. Before we want to tackle racism in boxing, we got to look at racism and what it is. Racism is a societal issue. It's not a boxing. It's just like, is there racism in the property development game? What you're into? You can say, of course there is. Because there's racism in every bloody thing, right? So I'm not gonna say, oh, but there's racism why I got stopped in the fight. No, I think it played the factor simply not racism. It played the factor to why I got stopped, because one fighter was a house fighter,
Yeah.
who had the big promotional company behind him and everything else, which the referee's on, and the other guys I took that fight on 7 days' notice, right? The other guy's coming there, he's a bit flash, and you know what? He's just about to knock out our house fighter, and there is a unspoken favoritism, and that's what it was. And I'm not fussed about it. I'm still healthy, strong. I'm good. My family's good.
So Spencer, let me ask you, how do you deal with your losses?
How do you deal with them? They're not that important. You know what I mean? And I handle losses just like you handle the wins, right? Because keep on, it's like people we get so immersed in these wins, right? And I was never really that person, because I didn't have to have the win to be cocky. I'd wake up, I'd be cocky. Wake up in the morning, I'd be confident. I wake up, that's how I am. So once you realize it's not about championing fights, it's about championing your relationship in life with your family, with your children, with your. Once you start realizing that, it's just about championing. Even like I've made a really disgusting mistake recently, right? That will have reverberations on family members, friends, opinions that they had of me, and all the rest of it. But then you have to realize, well, I still got to champion life. Properly got to champion life, because, as Jesus said, he without sin cast the first stone, right? Oh, you gonna put them stones down. You gonna put them stones down. So it's about that. So it's more about that. And like I said, like I'm really, really grateful that I'm on your show, that I get to speak about this, because
What mistake did you make? Can you share?
I've made loads of mistakes. You know what I mean? I've hurt people that have truly loved me. You know what I mean? Who truly love me. I've stayed in situations where I haven't been happy and they haven't been happy, but you will stay there to think like, well, this is the right thing to do, when it's actually not the right thing to do. You're just staying there for the sake of staying there. You know what I mean? And those are the things to me, when if you're blessed enough to get somebody that says, right, I love you and I want to spend the rest of my life with you, because you are, never take that for granted, right? Never take that for granted. And also be open to talk. And I know it's like sometimes, when they say like pride comes before the fall, and it is literally that pride does come before the fall, right? And no matter how much you may think that you're a good man, you can always be a better man. And that's important. Like when you're going through a drama, like most people do right now, trust me, it's like everyone's getting killed by these frigging cost of living crisis. Is nuts. It's really, really mad, right? Major thing is this. Always plan, right? Always write out your stuff to say what you're going to do from what you're not going to do. And what that does, that gives you that sense of discipline. And once you got that sense of discipline, you keep on working on the stuff that you want to go and do. That is so important. It's paramount. You know what I mean? To plan, right? To plan. Because whatever you plan for, you got a great possibility of getting it. You know what I mean? But just plan for it. And so I know I made mistakes. You know what I mean? Bad mistakes. You know what I mean? I know like my first child was somebody I wasn't with per se. And I haven't got the best relationship right now with my eldest daughter, which kills me because she looks just like me. You know what I mean? But we're not as close as we should. There's a lot of things that went on. Like after my mum died, I was not in the best place, right? I was not in the best place. And I know like my relationship with my daughter kind of subsided. And because of ignorance, or because you're thinking, well, I'm sending money to your mum each month, so it doesn't matter. No. Your child needs you there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm embarrassed because the opinion that my daughter will have of me, she don't remember all the things that I've done for her. She don't remember all the things that, well, daddy was like super dad. She don't remember that. So I would say to anybody out there, if you have children, make sure you're there for your kids. Not saying like, and it's not monetary. You know what I mean? It's not monetary. Just make sure you're there for them, that you got a relationship with them, that you can talk to them, you know what I mean? Like my two youngest daughters, right? My two youngest daughters, they look at me like I'm a superhero. You know what I mean? They do. They think daddy's amazing and stuff. But then they also know like, daddy, you could do a bit better. You're a bit lazy on certain things. You're a bit, you know what I mean? My oldest son, he's like, I want you to do better for my mom. And sometimes we can get immersed in thinking that we're this guy, I'm the knowledge, I'm the shit. The most important thing is your family. The most important thing is how you raise them, because how you raise them is how they're going to put you back into the ground. Right? If we go through the natural order of stuff, right? And so I would say like those things are important. Those things where you're saying like the most important thing, like I could speak on like on my son. My son is not my biological child, right? It's his mother's child, but I've raised him since he was 3 years old, and I know how I was with him when he was growing up. To a certain age, like we kind of like split away. Then they find their own identity, and we're not as tight as we should be. But it's like now it's kind of nice because I'm kind of merging back that tightness. It means a lot when they kick in and saying, "Oh, daddy, you okay? I love you." That's just made my day. You don't have to say nothing else to me. That's just, you know what I'm trying to say to you,
Nice.
right? So these are the things that are important. I'm also like my other children, like just to know your dad's there and your dad's always on the graft. And the reason why your dad's always on the graft is because your dad wants to provide for you. But I used to think like the provision is a good thing. Don't get twisted. Like, but it's financial provision. Right, so I'm grafting, and you use it as an excuse. But as you're always constantly grafting, you're always, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. You're saying in your head, I'm doing this for my kids. But you're not. You're actually doing it for yourself. You are. You're doing it for yourself because you don't want to really and truly spend that time, because sometimes they can be annoying, right? You don't want to, you have to spend that time. You know what I mean? And not only spend that time, you have to invest that time. And I realize that, and it's mad because I'm not as young spring chicken anymore. I just look young, but you know what I mean. But I'm not. So,
Come on.
right. So these are the things that are important. But more so, the biggest buzz that any human being can get is when your children turn around and say that I love you, or when your children can know that, right? I know that my dad is fallible. He's open to making mistakes. Like I'm saying on many things, I don't turn around to say that I'm perfect, because I'm not. You know what I mean? I don't like to walk around and just holier than thou. I do when it comes to boxing knowledge, because historically, I've got photographic memory, and I'm also on the spectrum of being autistic. That's why I can remember fight dates and times and all the rest of it. That's why I can remember it. So I'm kind of like a cheat code. I got the cheat code on it, right? So, but the most important thing is not what you leave to your children, but what you leave inside of them. So I said, I got to start working on myself. So I'm making sure that I'm going to leave something truly uniquely special inside of my children. I remember like every morning I'd walk to school with my son. I'd take my son to school. And when I walk in school, I'd make him say affirmations, right? Like, I'm special, I'm bright, I'm intelligent, I'm wonderful, I'm a beautiful child of God. I always say this every day, walk in school. I remember like one day, he's 11 now. No, sorry, he's 12 now. And he turns to me and he goes, you know what, daddy, when I get old, I'm going to do that with my son. And I said, why? He said, because you did that with me. And that was like the biggest compliment I could ever.
Legacy, man.
Yeah, I could ever get. That was like the biggest compliment. So yeah.
It's beautiful to hear you love your family and you're thinking of them things, and you're probably inspiring a lot of us at home. I want to ask you, how did you make that transition from your boxing career to start being, start going into promoting boxers, and then eventually coming to be like a boxing pundit,
You know what? I'm gonna be real with you. In what was it? In 2000 and 2005 it was. Yeah, that's the year my dad passed away. I mean, 2005. I was at somewhere watching boxing commentary. Watching boxing. It was Amir Khan. Yeah, it was Amir Khan versus Kinderland, the rematch. Amir Khan was still an amateur then, right? And then after he made the announcement they're going to turn professional, right? And he beat Kinderland on points. And I was watching this and I was listening to the commentary and that, right? And I said, I could do this job, And everyone was looking like, what? I said, yeah, I could do, I know I could do this job. You know what I mean? And off of the back of that, through the grace of God, I was very fortunate to end up at City Boxer Boxing Gym. And when I was at City Boxer, he was run by a guy called Mark Burford. He was saying, Spence, because of your personality, and you know everyone in boxing, let's get your boxer's license, get your managers, trainers and promoters license, which I went for. And I became the first man to get all three at one time from the Border Control. And I got that. And he had a white collar gymnasium. And we had another guy, John Matty, and they were like, yeah, why don't let's put on shows. And we was putting on boxing shows. And that's what we did. We put on boxing shows together. And then I left that organization because I'm young, I'm a dick. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be real. I was making good money. I was right, little dick. And then I go back to the original founder of white collar boxing in the UK is a man called Alan Lacey. So I end up with Alan Lacey back at his gym, the Real Fight Club. And he gives me an office in there. He says, right, just run the gym for us, man. So I'm running the gym. I'll give you shares. Up to now, I still ain't got them shares. Right? He goes like, so I'm in the gym at the Real Fight Club. And while I'm there, some guy called Karen Baines kind of headhunting me. Was saying, I've seen your interviews and your videos and that. I think you'd be the ideal person to come on to Satanta and do. And this time, nobody weren't doing the internet stuff like that. Like how it is now, it's just blown, right? Right, YouTube, then people didn't really know about YouTube or stuff like that. Well, so we're talking like 2007, 2008. He was like, yeah, come and do this. And then like, he got me work at Satanta. So I did all the online stuff. Where everyone was like, nah, it was all about being on TV and blah. I did all of the online stuff. So and it was like, this is how dedicated I was, right? And then this is how I made my name. I would put out content, like be covering fights, and it was mad because I was doing some mad prediction. I remember doing a prediction for Jermaine Taylor versus Carl Frotch, and I said that Carl Frotch was stopping in the last round. And everyone thought, no, you're working with Voodoo. How did you know that, right? So everybody that would write in the comment section on the page for Satanta, I would personally address them. I'd personally send them. So I've always been immersed in boxing like that. And so the transition was, I was there at Satanta Sports, so my stuff's being regularly put out on platforms, and you could rip that and then post it wherever you want to post it. So I said, right, Spencer's at Satanta. So to the guys in where I grew up in my neighborhood, there was a big thing like, right, Spencer's on Satanta. And every now and then Steve Bunce would have the Bunty boxing hour. I have to big up Steve Bunce. He actually came to my mom's funeral as well. Steve Bunce, he'd always regularly I'd appear on that as well. That's a big thing. So I'm constantly on TV then, right? Constantly on TV, and then so I'm doing a lot. And then Satanta went bust. And when Satanta went bust, I started my own channel, me and my friend Ben Dougherty. So it was Dougherty in the Spirit. We did a little chat show thing, right? But at that time now, I've started promoting boxing again. So I've gone back in promotion of boxing. There's a guy called Gregor Shaw from the Welbeck Group. He and Shamrock Solutions, they they raised like £3 million for me to get into to do this boxing stuff. So I had a mad amount. I was going crazy. Imagine me with, you know what I mean? Even though I didn't get the full £3 million, but I got a lot of money. I just went nuts. You know, it's like, what do you want? Right. So I was doing that. And I remember it was like the same guy, Karen Baines, who came and met me to say, let's do this Satanta thing. Then we put it together. We said, all right, let's be partners. And we went out and partners. And then in a short amount of time, we was putting on these shows. And our thing was like, every fight's going to be a 50-50. So there's a guy called Kresnik Chato, Albanian, right? Forget about this Florian Marku and the numbers that he gets when the Albanians kind of... The originator of that, yeah, was a guy called Kresnik Chato. Like, I remember Kresnik came to me and said, I want to fight again. And I didn't know he was like that. He's like, one of my mates introduced him. Yeah, help him out. I said, all right then, Kresnik. So I remember like, we had Kensington Town Hall, yeah? And this is in 2009. And this brother came to me and said, he said, give me all of the tickets. I said, what? I said, if I give you all the tickets, that's like 30 grand's worth of tickets. Yeah, no problem. Come back, 30 grand, he gives me back cash. I'm like, what? So from then it just started to move on and move on. I remember Karen was like, Spence, we need to get better fighters in as well. And there was a guy who was like, I got Troy Pro, who was a Mongolian. He went back to Mongolia, but he could fight. I got Troy on, he was old at the time, he was like 38, but he could really fight. I got Troy, then off of the back of Troy, there was Darren Hamilton, who was living in our gym, and he became British champion. And then, I mean, Troy won prize fighter. Then he won a WBC international title. Then he went to Indonesia and challenged for a world title out there. Nathan Graham, another kid. He won the Southern Area Championships. And him winning the Southern Area Championships, like him becoming a world champion. Then Larry Kandile won prize fighter. And these are all guys that we were all mates. Because I ran the gym, they were training white collar guys. And then after they were training white collar guys, they would train professionally, and I brought in lots of people inside the game, and that means a lot to me. You know what I mean? That I brought other guys, and other guys have done well for themselves off of the back of what we created, me and Karen created when we created Hard Knocks. And then we did that, and then out of the blue, Sky TV phoned me and said, "Oh, we're running a pilot show. Would you like to? I mean, would you like to host this show?" Out of the blue.
This is toe to toe, is it? Or
yeah, it's toe to toe. And I was like, yep. I'm getting nuts now. Raw Sky have asked me to come in to do this thing. Right, they're gonna pay me some mad money. No, they were paying me travel expenses for about 4 months.
Whoa.
Right? And I was like, what kind of bullshit is this? Right? And I remember then Johnny Nelson pulled me to one side. He said, Spencer, don't worry about that. They're testing you, bro. You know what I mean? And I rate Johnny emphatically. Johnny was saying, they're testing you. They're testing you. And I just stuck at it. And the show was just getting mad numbers. And I remember Adam Smith, who's no longer there now, he's doing brilliant stuff for GBM. Adam Smith says, he calls me into his office. He's like, oh, yeah, Spencer, yes, we want to offer you a proper contract. And instead, I was there for 9 years. Wow. I said a lot of controversial shits. That's why they got rid of me. But what I'm trying to say to you is like a lot of my talk when I was at Sky, I was about 18 months too early. That's all. Because I was like, George Floyd, they didn't kill him yet. Right? I was about 18 months too early. Because now, if you look at their roster, how everything's changed and how diverse things have become inside boxing on all different platforms. But everybody knows that, right? You know what? The person that made up the most noise about the lack of diversity was Spencer Fearon. And now all of these industry people are going by my notebook. And I know that for a fact. So that means a lot to me because I get commended by this every single day from people in my community. And that means a lot.
Where does that leave you now? Like when someone like Sky Sports, as you say, had to let you go.
There's loads of reasons though. It wasn't just one.
Are you able to get back? Like, are you politically correct? Are you allowed to get back on the BBC or ITV?
No, you're saying allowed, but you're saying allowed. But Sean, every time when there's a big fight, BBC phone me. Channel 4 phone me.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Every time there's a big fight.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Sky News, not Sky Sports, Sky News will phone me. Like, why they're so enthralled to hear my opinion? Reason being is because there's not many historians in the sport of boxing. I'm just going to be real. There's not, right? And on top of that, there's not many black historians. So I'm saying, well, we want to hear about boxing. It's me they phone. So that means a lot. And not only that, but they also know, like, when they got me, they've also got kind of access to my black book. I've got a nuts black book. Everybody knows this. So it's those kind of things, but it means a lot when acclaimed people in the sport will phone me, like when they got their fighters have got fights on. It's me that they're phoning. It's me. Oh, what fight do you think we should be watching right now? What that means a lot. So, you know what I mean? It's not just one or two people. There's quite a few people. I ain't going to call their names because I don't want people to know. But, you know what I mean? But then it means a lot when other guys will come out successfully in things, but they'll thank me. They'll thank me over their social media. They'll thank me. And that means that means a lot. And it's like, we just got to keep on plugging away and keep on pushing forward. And that's what I'm doing.
So what does the future hold for you?
The future ain't even bright. It's not. It's so bright that you'll be blinded by it. The future for me is for me to constantly keep on improving as who I am as an individual, right? And not to be lazy. And I know, like, on certain things you can be lazy because you can get accustomed to thinking like, oh, I made it now and blah. It's not the case. The future for me, I'm doing a lot with 313 the Almadina 313 charity. So I'm an ambassador for that charity, right? They've done some fantastic stuff, right? It's a charity where they go out and they help communities. Just recently I went out to Palestine, I went to Jordan.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is it not scary to be in Palestine where there's war around you?
No.
Are there bombs going off around you when you're there?
No. But it's certain sectors. Like, I went out. What happened was this. I got introduced to brother Ansar, who was an imam. I got introduced to him, and we were talking, and he was like, "I'm not just raising funds to help Muslim people, right? I'm raising funds to help everybody, and literally everybody. And like, he'll do. I remember Easter just gone. I wanted 1,000 Easter eggs. Send me your account details, Spencer. Give me an invoice. 1,000 Easter eggs I'm giving out to underprivileged kids. Right? Muslims don't celebrate Easter. Right? I'm doing homeless feeds. Brother Ansar, you know what I mean? I'm doing this homeless feed. All right, get all the food, get it all done, and all the rest of it. I'll get it sorted for you. That's what he does. Sends it in for me. I went to Jordan. Then we went over to Palestine simply because I went up to Banbury where they're from, where their hub is. I went up to Banbury, and when I was up there, we was having discussions about, brother, this brother's meant to be going out to Jordan with food aid because they did something with Hamzat Chimaev, the UFC superstar. And I did the auction. And I think we raised a lot of money. We raised about £300,000. Right? I've never done an auction in my life. By that day, God was blessing me. I was on fire. And like, everyone was saying, "No, we need this guy. He's got really good energy." And one of the brothers was meant to go to help deliver the food aid, but he was half enough. He weren't too sure that he wanted to go or not. And I went there, this is at the time of Ramadan. I went and I brought my fast up there. And I said, "Listen, bro, if you go, I'll go." And I said, "Wow, but you're Spencer Fearon." And I said, "If you go, I'll go, bro." Right? And I must have rang the man on the Monday. I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm just thinking about it, brother." And me, brother Muhammad's name is, "I'm just thinking if I'm going to go. I'm not too sure." I was like, bro, I said, "Just go, man. It'd be great to go." And it was about, I think 9 of us went. And you know, when it was just a blessed trip, 9 of us went out there. Everybody got on with everybody. Like, there was no, you know what I mean? Human nature is bickering and all the rest of it. It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful that it was beautiful. I went to a mosque out there, right? And while I was in the mosque, I got recognized in the mosque. Some guy said, "Oh, Spencer Fearon, like I watch your podcast. I'm a big boxing fan." So we're talking. This man invited me over to his house, meet his family, have dinner with him. This is in Jordan. And I said, like, us as human beings, the human family is beautiful, right? Seriously, the human family is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful because it's an energy. And when you're looking for beauty, you're going to find it. If you're looking for the nastiness inside of someone, you're looking for the worst inside, you'll find that as well. So if you openly say, well, I'm actually going to look at you, I'm looking at the best version of you, the best you. I'll be disappointed if I don't see it, right? But I'm looking for the best. And even if I don't see it and I see the worst in you, you reveal the worst in you, I'm still going to brush that off to say, well, I maybe got you on a bad day or you're going through something, but I'm going to see if I can find the best you. When I was out there, when I'm saying like going out to Palestine changed my life, even like on my way back on the plane, when I was on my way back, like a couple of people were recognizing me and I saw a brother who I haven't seen since he's been a little nipper, right? Nabil, who's now a big man now, happily married, children, everything. But he said, yeah, I just bought a food package aid out as well. Like the containers are like 50 grand. And he personally bought one for 50 grand. I'm not talking like business, but I'm telling you, that's what he did. And I thought this is just beautiful. But when it comes to the 313 charity with the Al Madina, right now, a lot of the stuff that I'm doing is for them to promote the stuff that they're doing. They're just Al Madina 313. They've got an app now. Anybody here, you can happily donate, and it's to help communities. It's not going to one set of people, or it helps communities. It's like he had some guys out when it was snowing. Brother Antony, he had got a group of guys out, clean out people's pathways so they could come out of their houses, the elderly, right? And they're in Banbury. Banbury is a predominantly European area, but for the old people there, and I'm saying, he taught me something. He was saying, listen, if you promote the best that you are to everyone else, because the trick of what we say the shaitan, the devil, is to keep us divided. So they'll use loads of things. They'll use race to divide us. I mean, they use financial importance, they use education, they use sexual preference, they use all of these things to divide us. But the key thing is this, is that the only reason why we are being created was to serve our Lord, but at the same time to serve his creations of us as human beings. And once he said that, I said, bro, any work that you want me to go do for you guys, I'm going to go do it. Any help that you want me to go, I'm going to do it, right? Because it was like we're speaking every day, and I was going through a bit of dramas at the time, and I said, and he was saying, you sing my praises and everything else. I said, bro, but I'm not perfect. And he goes, could you imagine if you were born perfect? Yeah, what's the worth of living? You know what I mean? None of us are. To seek perfection, I get it, but none of us are perfect, because if we were perfect, we believe in Islam that if God created everybody to be perfect, he'll destroy that world simply because God likes to be worshipped and praised, and God enjoys the fact that we come for forgiveness. And forgiveness is the key. So I'm saying, if God can forgive me, who are you to hold any grudges over me? And that's how we got to work.
Nice words. Nice way to finish this podcast off, really. Is there anything final you'd like to say on this podcast to the people at home?
No, it's bar the fact that to spread love. The most important thing that we can do is to spread love to each other and look for the best inside of people. And sometimes you got to look a little bit harder for certain people, but look for the best inside of people. And then also have to remember that forgiveness is key, right? But what you think about, you bring about. So if you walk with purpose, you're going to collide with your destiny. We are destined for greatness. The reason why you're destined for greatness, because you've taken time out to listen to Take a Seat with myself and my brother from another mother, Sean. Just keep it tuned to this channel, because this channel, I'm really enjoyed this. Peace, two fingers. This is Spencer, the knowledge Fearon, on Take a Seat with the superb Sean Len.
And what's the best way for people to follow you?
Instagram, master_knowledge. On Instagram, my Instagram pops. I get a lot of numbers on my Instagram, so I'm really, really grateful for that. And also, you can get me on Twitter, or it's X now, isn't it? You can get me on Twitter with Spencer_Fearon. But the easiest way to get me is through my Instagram. You get me on the Instagram, and then it's fabulous.
And there we go, guys. I hope you really enjoyed this episode. We carry on getting big influencers, boxing celebrities, sports celebrities on, all because of you guys at home. So make sure you like this. Make sure you leave us a comment. Share this with somebody who might need to hear the message today. But until next time, peace.